order. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Williams if he'd open us in prayer and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, everybody has prayer. Father God, we're grateful and thankful to be here today. We ask you to continue to just bestow your wisdom upon all the participants in the board meeting today, especially the board members and the decisions that they must make. As we always wish, Father God, let that decision be made with your spirit and truthfully and honestly, Father God, to continue to help lift this school system up. We continue to educate the youth is our main purpose and mission. Yes, all these things in your name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. If you can, stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Next on our agenda is the consent items. If you look at in front of you, you have the minutes of the May 14th, 2019 meeting, an overnight field trip, FCCLA camp. The dates on that have changed from from the May dates there to June 10 through 14, still in Covington, Georgia. And then policies for deletion, we have JHCAA, secret societies, JQE, JQF, JQG, pregnant, married, unwed mothers. And then one for revision is DJED, bids and quotations. Need a motion to accept the consent items?
Make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Madison to accept the consent items. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Barksdale. All in favor?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Since I'm just seeing this for the first time and I just understood that we have a year for correction, so if there's any necessary corrections for the minutes,
Okay.
I have no problem.
Oh, okay. So, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. We have no one signed up on public participation, so we're going to go into our financials.
Okay, first report is the general fund, and at the end of May, that is 91.66% of our fiscal year complete. We're getting quite close to the end of our year. We have, as you can see, the tax revenues are a little over 100%, so we are doing quite well on our tax revenues. We've got 95.28% of our total revenues collected, so that is looking good as far as that 90 compared to that 91.66%. So we're in good shape on our revenues. On our expenditures, we've only spent 86.97%, so we're under that amount, and that is also a good thing. Everything seems to be in line as of this point in the year. We've got one more month to go. On our balance sheet, we have about $3.2 million cash in the bank, and our fund equity was at $2.38 million at the end of May. On our SPLOST, we had really good news on our SPLOST. You see we got 61,119. That is quite a bit over our other amounts, and if you look back on this sheet, this is only the 5th time in the last 7 years that we've been over 60,000 in 1 month. So that is a really good collection. The last time we were that high was, or near that high, was October of 2012, that's 66,000 there. So I don't know what's happening with our local economy, but I like it, and I hope it stays. They keep on.
Buy and Lincoln.
Buy local, exactly. Definitely helping us on our SPLOST collection, so this is looking good. We budget 50,000, so we're definitely over budget on that month. On our SPLOST summary, we've got a balance of $423,696 in the SPLOST account, and then if we come on down to the bond account, we've got $346,439, giving us a total of $770,000 for our future bond payments. And we'll have one due October 1st, and then the next one April 1st. No big change on the capital projects, a little bit of interest, but other than that, we've not allocated any money to any other projects at this time.
Any questions on current financials?
Going back to the revenue, you said we have one more month?
Yes, ma'am.
July 1st is the beginning of the,
Yes. Fiscal
Okay,
year is
so
July
the-
1 to June 30th.
so June 30th is the end of this fiscal
ma'am.
year, correct?
Mhm.
So we have less than a month, but I know what you were saying. So we're just at 93%, I think you said?
95.28 overall. With 91.66% of the year complete, so.
Okay. And our okay. Because I'm thinking now in my head, I got it.
Okay.
The rest of it will wash out in August because of, in July, because the bills that you'll pay at the end
Right,
of
we
June.
have accounts payable
Yeah.
and receivable, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of figuring in July and August before we get the final figures, but as far as as we stand right now, that's what we're looking like.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No other further questions on that. We're gonna move to the FY19 amended budget.
You'll remember, we've amended the budget once, back I think in April, for various things that happened during the year. I've not changed anything on the general fund, but I have changed some of the special revenue funds and a little bit in the debt service fund. The special revenue funds are mostly the grants. So, for example, Title I, Title II, Title IV, and Title V, when those change, they might change a carryover amount, they might change an allocation to us. We have to match our budget to match that. So these are just some minor changes with that to match the budgets that were approved by the state and federal governments. So no change in the general fund, that's all the same. There was one thing that we could have changed in the general fund that we didn't, and we talked about this a little bit, I think, at the last meeting, but we didn't have the information on it, and that is the state health benefit plan employer contribution holiday. And what that is, and we're not really sure why, but for whatever reason, the state has decided that we don't have to pay the employer portion of the state health insurance for the month of June. And they will not be billing us. But on the flip side, they're going to cut our QBE money. So we have done the figures, and it looks like the QBE is going to be cut about $75,000, but in the general fund, we should save about $126,000, which would give us about a $51,000 net savings. I don't understand what they're doing, but we'll take the savings. So we're going to have that, but we did not change this budget for that. So our final figures on the QBE may be slightly low because of that, but we'll also have a lower expenditure in the state health insurance categories.
How much does that run for the month of June? Or for any
The
month?
state health,
Mhm.
on the general fund side, it's about $126,000. And then we do have some paid out of some of the other funds, but general fund is what affects our taxes, so. So I did want to let you know that. But those are the only changes, but I did want you to go ahead and approve those changes for the grant.
And so that change will just be done at a later date?
Well, we
That
just won't
approval?
change the budget for it. We'll get the benefit of it, but we're just not changing the
Okay.
budget for that.
That'll just be,
I just wanted to inform
Difference.
you of it so you know if the QBE comes in looking a little bit under, you'll know why. It's because we actually saved more than that in the expenditure side.
okay, I need a motion to approve the revised 2019, amended 2019 budget.
A motion to approve the amended 2019 budget.
We have a motion. We have a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor?
Question?
Any questions?
Yes, at your hearing please just inform me what changes was made.
She just
That
talked
was the
about
only one?
The specific changes were the federal preschool, 6B flow-through, Title II, Title I, Title IV, and Title V.
Just a little slower.
Federal preschool,
Okay.
6B flow-through, which is a
What
special.
flow through?
6B
Okay,
is the special ed
right.
federal grant. Titles 1, 2, 4, and 5. All of those are federal grants.
Right. So were they increased, decreased? What
Most
was-
of them were increased slightly, just like I said, due to some reallocation where they gave us a little more money or a carryover from the previous year or something like that.
That's a good thing, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Chair, that's all the changes,
Mhm.
y'all. Thank you.
All in favor? Unanimous. Now we're gonna go into our fiscal year 20 budget.
We have had our 2 meetings on the FY20 budget. So we've kind of gone over the items for discussion, but I can go over any of those that you'd like to. We made the changes from the original proposed budget, the tentative budget. The only changes we made were the ones that were approved by the board at the previous meeting. Administrative supplements, athletic supplements, federal programs coordinator, and employee replacements. So those are the only changes to the general fund from the original tentative budget.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
need to ask you a question on those changes. I understand we saved on the assistant superintendents
Yes.
because of the
about halftime.
49,
Right.
because of the 49%, less than half now, because the state changed it. So that 49%, share with me what that budget amount will be.
Yeah.
45,000 and some change. She has it in front of you, or in front of her, I apologize.
Without going into specifics of one person's salary, I guess.
No, I just
Um,
want to know what the budget
But
changed
the,
to.
the net change is actually for the general fund, 31,308 was the savings for that specific position. The reason being, only part of that salary is paid out of the general fund. Some is paid out of Title I, some is paid out of 6B flow-through. So in the general fund portion, and the biggest part of that was the benefits
Right,
difference, because we're not paying TRS, we're not paying state help on a
right,
retiree
right,
coming back
right,
to work.
right, right.
So 31.
On the 49%, right.
Right, right. But so the general fund got a savings, just not as big as you think with 50% of the salary, because it's been spread to 3 different funds like that. So.
Okay. So what's coming out of the other funds? What's the total? You don't have to break it down.
Let's see, I don't know that I actually got the total benefits on that. I just did it on the general fund. Do you need the total for
Yeah,
other funds?
I'd like to see what that total,
Okay, I'll have to get that for you, because I just wrote down the general fund. I thought that was the main one you were concerned with, so. Well, that's just the salary though, that's not the benefits, so, yeah, I just did the salary.
so what's that salary amount?
The salary in the 6B flow-through went from 83.48 to 71.85.
That's for 49%?
Well, that was we put 83.48 and we put 71.85 in. See, the 6B flow-through was only 50% of the summer pay, so 49% versus 50 is not gonna be that big a difference.
Okay.
It gets complicated.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if the state says that that the law says 49%, then I think in my mind, from my former life as an auditor, then it would be 49% across the board.
It
Not
is,
50.
but it's the salary that this person would be making, not necessarily the salary of the person that was in the position before.
Right,
Each
I got that
person's
part.
is different, yeah. So it's 49% of the total.
But the total of the previous person, according to Dr. White, tell me if I'm wrong, that's why I called your name, was 108 something.
Well, for next year, it actually would have been 110,750.
Yeah, but we're not going on next year. We're saying that's what the person who left. So I'm figuring in my mind's eye, that's more than 49. That's more than 49%. That's, in my math, that's more than 50%.
What's more than 50%? I'm sorry.
She said 71,000 is more than 50%, more than 110 is what she's comparing it to, but it's a different person, I think it's. You got experience.
71,000, and where did you get the 71,000?
You mentioned 71 just a moment ago when you said, and I think it was
7,100 because it's 60.
Yeah, because you said 71,000. That's where I
Oh,
got
I'm
it from.
sorry, no, 7,100.
Okay.
7,185, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I'm
Okay,
like-
that was my fault.
Okay, because mathematically that just didn't.
No, it
Okay.
went from 8,000 to 7,000, basically, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, that was my fault. No,
Alright.
no, the total salary is 45 something, so.
Okay, because you said
Not
71, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's
No.
more. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm not crazy either. But you know, and numbers I love,
No.
even when I have a headache. Okay, thank you, Ms. Kay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other questions on any of the changes or anything about the next year's budget? If you look on page is this? Right up here, I mean, that covers the basic changes that we have this year versus last year. Okay. If there are no questions, do you have a motion to accept this budget?
Make a motion, we said.
We have a motion by Mr. Masson. We have a second.
A second.
We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Opposed?
My hand went up slow.
Okay, so you're in
4.
favor of it? Okay.
Mhm.
Unanimous? All right, thank you. Thanks for all your work on that stuff. All right, next up, we're going to ask Ms. Barksdale to do a delegate report.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to serve as a delegate to go down to Savannah for the conference. And also I want to thank y'all for your prayers. I know it has nothing to do with the delegate, but thank you for your prayers during my illness last month. I'm proud to say that everything is okay and I got a good report, just to clear your minds and hearts on that. But the delegate report, the conference itself in Savannah was very intriguing. It was a great experience for me to attend that conference. Only thing that I regret is that our whole entire board could have not attended. There was a lot of counties that had their entire board that was there and sat around and enjoyed the conference. I was also intrigued to find out that a lot of the issues and concerns that we have right here in our county is some of the same issues and concerns with teacher retention, bus drivers, early education with our children, and some of the same issues that we have here. But there are some things that they have there that's a lot more extensive than what we have here. So we actually have a great little county, a great school system. Dr. Light, I did, through talking and networking with different people, I did hear that you're a great superintendent, so got a lot
Thank
of
you.
praises about you.
I appreciate them lying to you. That's a great
And also,
Amen.
I was not a stranger, Dr. Edmonds with Sandersville. He was there, and he kind of took me under his wings and allowed me to cohort with his group. So I was amongst a lot of great friends. In the delegate meeting itself, as the delegate representative for Lincoln County, the issue on the new position for Richmond County, which our board supported it, and they're at the delegate, they decided to support it as well. In reference to the position with the dual enrollment for Jones County, that was supported by us as well as at the delegate meeting. The proposed addition for Clark County, that was supported by our board, and that too was supported by the delegate at the board meeting, at the delegate meeting. In reference to our new position, the new position in Fulton County, our board rejected that. When we voted against it, I voted against it, and but the board itself supported it. Okay. And then the last one that I had to vote on was the compulsory attendance. And this one was in reference to changing the age level, changing the age to 16 for children who could drop out of school. That was the biggest debate. It took us a long time to listen to the different debates, and finally they had to just call question for it and get it to cease so that we could vote on it, and it was supported. At that at that delegate meeting, I received a yellow frisbee that I forgot to bring, but that was what we had the opportunity to hold up when we was casting our votes for the different agendas that was on the board. But while I was there was many different exhibits and vendors that was there, and I'm not a sports person, so I thought about the board since I was having so much fun that while I was there, I did pick up some goodies from the convention that I wanted to extend to my fellow mates. And Mr. Williams, I brought you back. It's a mouse pad, and it's got some tutorial information for Endomentum that seemed like it goes well with Study Island from the presentation that I listened to. So that may be something that you may be interested in adding to our curriculum. If you would pass this down to Miss Freeman. Miss Freeman, I brought you back a hammer. There you go. Because you're the one board member that's going to hammer out things regardless of what we got going on.
And I got 5 of these at home for my grandchildren. Now I got one for me. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Madison, I brought you back a hard hat because one, you were beside Miss Freeman and she might go crazy. Protect her head. Jason, I know that you're part of the board and all your children are graduating now, but I just want you to remember that school bus driving is an issue that we have here. So in this case, when you retire, you want to become a school bus driver. And drive. And not like, I brought you back it's a
Charger.
Oh, yes, because I know you get plenty of calls.
Yes, ma'am, I get a few.
You get plenty of calls, and that way you can use a charger. And I also brought you some information back about the education staff and management. It's where if there's a company that have different positions like school nurses, substitute teachers, Head Start teachers, this is a point of contact where you can make and use in your work endeavors.
Wonderful.
But again, I would just like to say that I thoroughly enjoyed my trip, and I did thank you all when I was having so much fun.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you.
Really good. Okay, now we'll move on to our student handbook changes.
We have just a couple of student handbook changes for the elementary school. Simple updates, update the right to know letter, and update the parent involvement policy, and include suspensions as an unexcused absence in the field trip policy. So those were for elementary. And for middle and high, unfortunately, it's necessary for us to add this. I wish it didn't even exist, but vaping, if you watch television, has become an issue, and vaping, we had to add vaping to our handbook as opposed to just attaching it to tobacco. It does say no vaping is permitted or the possession, sale, or distribution of vaping material or equipment on school grounds at school-sponsored events and or during transportation to and from school at any time. E-cigarettes pose health risk and contain detectable levels of carcinogens and toxic chemicals. These chemicals are also present in secondhand emissions. Students that are caught vaping or carrying a vaping device will be handled through the tobacco disciplinary procedure. So it is attached to it, but it also adds vaping, because one of the complaints in other districts was that vaping doesn't have any tobacco in it, so we had to add this.
When we were at the policy, when I was at the policy workshop on Thursday, the attorneys touched on vaping, and it's become a real legal bigger thing because of what you just said. But other school districts are going a step further, since we are mandated by state law of no tobacco. They were saying that this should be carried out to extracurricular activities for anybody who's on school property, not just our students. But it should be carried the same weight as our non-tobacco signs that we have. So I guess we need to put some no vaping signs up, and a lot of school districts are doing that. And that was one of the suggestions that came from Harbin, Hartley, and Hawkins doing the policy workshop. So I thought that was quite interesting that that has arisen.
And that, I mean, that would, like you said, that would have to be added to our tobacco policy.
Yeah, this is to add it to our handbook.
Well, I
and
know
then
this
we'll
is
turn
just
around
for
and add it to
handbook,
the
but yeah,
policy. You're
so-
correct, yes, sir.
And GSBA has, I believe they said they already wrote one. Or have a sample, is that what I'm trying, a sample one for
I
school
received some
districts?
samples today. I don't know if the vaping was in there, because I hadn't read all of them yet.
Yeah, they had it up on the screen, they do,
Hopefully
if
that's
if my memory serves me correctly.
And Dr. Light, I know this is written by a current principal of elementary school. Is our appointed principal will agree with these changes?
She does. I thought I saw her in here.
I'm not.
She's hiding in the back, yes.
I'm not here.
Yes, she
Yes, we
was,
discussed them, yes, sir. It's pretty much the same as what she, has been doing. She just, the wording was not clear to parents, so she wanted to clarify it. So
Okay.
that's why she changed it.
Let me ask you something about that suspension thing. Would you go back to that one? Why does it need to be included in the field trip? It's already, it's
wasn't-
already in the handbook, so I'm asking why we're double dipping that. Is it for clarity or what?
It's for clarity of the field trip policy.
Clarity, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on these changes? And we need a motion to accept these proposed changes.
When will we have the sample handbooks?
When do you expect your handbooks to be
So
printed?
like,
I uploaded the middle school one yesterday, and the delivery date is July 31st, so we'll have it for school. I'm still formatting the elementary one and plan on uploading it by Thursday, and we'll have it by the beginning of the
Okay.
as well.
So hopefully we'll have them ready for you by the August meeting.
We used to get sample, before they were sent, that's what I was asking, when will we see the ones that were rent? Because in the day we saw them before they went to print. So that's what I was asking.
Well, if you look at the old one, and then these very minor changes, that would be the only.
That's the
difference.
only changes
Right.
you're making?
That's it.
okay, we have a motion. We have a motion by Mr. Madison to accept these changes.
Second,
A second by Ms. Freeman. All in favor?
so moved, yes.
Unanimous? Thank you. All right, next is our Georgia Power presentation on new LED lighting.
We have two gentlemen here from Georgia Power to wow us with their intelligence tonight. Nathan and Matt. Yes. Nathan and Matt have a PowerPoint for us to help explain the value of going to LED throughout our school district. Value not only from saved energy, but also for longevity of the equipment, so, and possibly for labor costs. So we'll let you, I think you're the main speaker tonight.
Unless Nathan wants to do it.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'll let you two argue about
I'm the
that.
main speaker. Okay. Will it be shown up here? Okay, there we go. And, you know, just to let you know, this all started when we were at GASFA last year, at the Facility Administrators Conference that Pat Lahr went to. And he came up to us and said, hey, it's time. We need to start looking at LEDs. And I go, hey, you're right. Because the breaking point with LEDs in our business where energy savings can actually pay for it has crossed. Okay, they've gotten cheap enough or inexpensive enough to not only upgrade your schools, but also generate enough savings to help pay for it. And that's what we're gonna show today. And that's really the goal of our program, okay, is to find a way where we can upgrade your schools, and especially here with Pat, he wanted us to take a look at the lights. And so we did. So we developed a pay for savings program. It gets close. You guys, we installed 2 samples here within the district. I think you may have seen them in 2 different classrooms.
One in Miss Crook's room and one in Miss Ball's room.
My
Right.
first hearing, but yes.
Okay, we have installed 2 samples of 2 different types of LED fixtures. Okay, one's more of a flat panel look. I just want to describe it this way. It's like a flat screen TV in your ceiling. And it just puts out a white light. The other is a more, it's a different looking fixture. It kind of recesses, but it has a center tray. It kind of changes the look. Both of them really change the look of your facility, and it actually really lowers the energy, okay, within it. So that's what we're actually able to do, looking at your preschool, your elementary, middle, and high, okay? And the Board of Education to really basically go, and Pat wanted all LED wherever you could possibly go, okay? So the options, we want to install both kits, flat panels and retrofit kits. That's what it looks like. But it definitely changes the look of the fixture. And what we actually have been doing at all the counties that we are working with, we've been installing a new dimmer control system in the classrooms and the offices. So all the teachers can actually control the light level within the facility and their classroom. And that's a big thing with all the smart boards and everything else. Now they have a chance to dim all 9 fixtures evenly, so there's a good even spread. Okay, and that's what we looked at. And here I wanted to give you some recent people that we've worked with, okay, with Carroll County Schools, and this is kind of give you an idea how the program works. As you can see, like at Carroll County Schools, we did a $1.6 million project, and you can see some of the upgrades that we did from lighting, heating, and air conditioning. But it generated enough savings, $198,000 in savings, minus third-party financing. You finance the upgrades. And as you can see, by the end, it has a net positive cash flow of $3,000 a year. Okay? This annual M&B cost is for us to deliver a report every year to come back and validate the savings for you every year, and we guarantee those savings. So if we don't generate the savings, we either write you a check for the difference, or we install additional energy savings equipment to make sure that you meet your savings. Okay, so Clark County, we did kind of the same thing. We did 2 phases there. This is phase 1. But as you can see, when you go through the numbers again, we were actually able to save you, had them with a net positive cash flow. And it also generated rebates from Georgia Power for the energy efficiency equipment. Okay. Now, what we did find here is that you mainly have T8 fixtures, fluorescent, your best efficiency for fluorescent fixtures, T8s, 2 lamp and 3 lamp. And you also had metal halides on your exterior walls. So when we looked at everything, both interior and exterior. The only thing we didn't look at was sports lights. So anything that we could change, we could. So we did the 2 renovations. We did both. And you'll see the numbers for both the retrofit door kit and a flat panel. So I suggested you go see them and take a look at them. Because there is a little bit of difference. The retrofit kits actually generate more savings. The flat panels are a little bit higher wattage. But they both have a different look. So each one will be have a dimming system. And the way we look at it, depending on what you pick and what your current fixtures are, you'll see energy savings on those fixtures from 50 to 80%. Okay? For each fixture. What I like to give is an example like this 3 lamp fixture here, fluorescent, is right around 90 watts, okay? The new fixtures from the lowest one that we have is a 28 watt. So you can get the same amount of light, better light, with less than 30% of the energy. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. The other main benefits is really improved light levels and controls. The teacher will have control in their classroom, and lower maintenance, to build on your point, Dr. Lane. All those have a 10-year warranty on it, where if it goes out, they send you a new fixture. Okay, and the other thing is no more lamps, no more ballast, no more fluorescent. With fluorescents now, you even have to have a certain way to dispose of it now, so you get rid of all those. Even your high intent, those big white bulbs, the clear ones, the HID or metal halide, those we're all getting rid of too. So here's what it looks like. And what we did first was the door kits. Okay, that's the best payback that you can get. As you can see, each school, we listed out, we list both the energy, the HVAC, because these things run a lot cooler than your existing fluorescent lights. So there's actually going to be less air conditioning you'll have to use. And the maintenance and operational savings are really just your material savings as we estimate based on the number of fixtures that we actually count. Okay, so because now you will have no more lamps and no more ballasts in your schools. So as you can see, for about $795,000, we're going to generate about $87,000 in savings, or $88,000 in savings. When you look at it from a financial perspective on an annual basis, you can see your project cost, it's going to generate about $50,000 in rebates. We actually, if you put that towards a project, that's up to you. This is the total amount financed of $744,000. Your savings minus your payment and our M&B fee, where we come back every year. It's slightly negative a year of about $6,000. Okay, is what we estimate at this point. So, but the simple payback is about 9 years that it will pay for itself. Under the 10-year warranty is the way we look at it. Okay? Now we did the other one, the flat panels. Has anyone seen any of the?
No, I have not.
Okay. When you get a chance, go ahead and take a look at it. The flat panels are right over here in the high school. But they're not as efficient. They look different, but they're not as efficient. As you can see, they cost a little bit more, of $812,000, generate a little bit less savings. Okay? But when you come down through it, the cash flow does go up because of the two things, the increase in cost and a reduction in the savings. Because those panels use more energy than the others. So, but that's what we're looking at right here, and that's what Pat Blauer wanted us to show, and Dr. Light wanted us to give you an idea. Okay, for the guarantee, this is give you an idea. We utilize, there is a standard protocol for measuring and verification of these types of programs. We will both measure before and after the wattage. We've already done that in your facilities of the fixtures to prove the energy reductions. That'll be verified by the Lincoln County staff and Georgia Power together, is the way we look at it. And we agree to the hours of operations. Okay, how many hours you're at. I can show you how many hours we have for each one at this point for the calculation. So, but mainly, every year we'll come back and measure the performance to make sure that our fixtures are working properly. And if they're not, we'll try to fix it, or we write you a check for the difference. Any shortfalls, we write you a check for the difference, or put in new energy efficiency lighting, or whatever we need to do. And windfalls, you get to keep. And here are just some of the systems that we're working with right now. Clark, we've done 2 phases. Cobb County, Lee County down in Leesburg. We work with Bear County government. You can see the different school systems that we work with. And these are all fairly recent right now. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, why is it that Carroll County, with 14 schools, the project cost was only 1.6, and with our 2 schools, it was going to be 800,000.
Yeah, with this one, the lighting renovation, when we did it, was about 4 years ago. and LED wasn't in yet. So we were just doing lamps and ballasts on just a few of the schools, and we were just going from T12 to T8.
Okay, so it's a different project.
Yeah, it was a different project. Same thing with Clark, we just did that. The other financials that we have, the LEDs finally hit the point that we're just starting to do that more. Barrow County Schools was the first one we did probably 3 years ago. And we put those in at the high school and their, an elementary school, these retrofit kits are LEDs, and they haven't had a failure yet. So that's the best part about these things.
How long does it take to install them? I mean, for our system, our whole school, how long would it take to do it?
6 weeks. Once we get the material in. Material takes about 4 weeks to get here, and then about 6 weeks after that. Our guys typically,
If I may, and you led right into one of the things I was gonna ask him to talk about. If they are awarded to do this, they come in at 11 o'clock at night and do 1, 2, 3, 4 classrooms, however many they can get through that night, clean up, and they're gone, and you don't even know they were there.
Right.
And that was one of the things he told me, and I'll be honest with him and you guys, I didn't think he was telling me the truth. I'm expecting a mess. When we got back in there was nothing in there. It was beautiful.
right.
And the teachers just absolutely loved it. Look at what happened while I was gone. So it's a big deal that they put everything back. There's no mess. You don't know that they were there other than your light fixture changed.
Right.
And you do have a dimmer switch now.
And for a few weeks, you'll say, they didn't get to your room yet, and the teachers will go back and forth. That's the way it always happens. So we work at night, and our crews always work at night.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Okay.
LED at the beginning was very controversial with health issues.
In regards
I read
to,
a lot. I have no idea.
fluorescents actually were the ones that actually had problems with some of the people, because you can actually see the activity of the lamp. The strobing of the lamp back and forth, some students could. Are you maybe talking when it was too white of a light?
Not right up. There's two problems, like I said, and this is
Well, she's.
okay, it was corrected. That's what I was, because in the beginning, they were saying that there was health issues related to LED lighting when they first came out a while back. And so I've been keeping up, but I haven't read anything lately. That's why that came out.
The only thing I can say, and I think you're right, when it first came out, there was a real bluish or a whitish tint to these fixtures that was really a lot different than what the normal light is.
A
But
lot
now,
of cities went to putting them outside streetlights,
Mhm.
and it caused people to, they say, to have accidents because of the blueness or the brightness of.
Yeah, some of it.
That is actually on the internet still.
Uh-huh.
But has it been, have LED lighting been improved? Because I remember when I bought my first LED lamp,
Uh-huh.
and my son called me, and he's former military, and he said, "Mom, get rid of it."
Uh-huh.
So that's why I'm asking you, do you know of any health issues that is related to LED lighting?
I do not.
Okay.
The only thing that I knew of was more of the color renderings, and they've gotten those fixed. Okay? Because I remember when they first came out, I was like, wow, that's a really weird bluish or whitish light that you're not used to seeing, especially when you see the yellowish of anything else. But now, they make it in so many different colors. You can pick, this yellow right here, which is
Soft
more,
white versus-
yeah, soft
White.
versus more of a white light, which you have here, to an actually white light at 5,000 Kelvin, which is the color in. And that's almost too white or too blue, as they call it. So right now, what you'll see is when you see them, we went with a 4,000 color, okay, which is more like the light you have here, a whiter light.
I know you talked about the maintenance savings. And one of the things, and I know there are different levels of LEDs now. The only ones I really have in my home are just the regular standard bulb.
Mhm.
And even though they're warranty for decades, I've had plenty that have gone out.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't keep my receipts for a light bulb. So even though you said they're warranty for 10 years, how difficult is it going to be for our maintenance to replace these if we do have issues with some going out?
Actually, it's become easier, what we have done. Especially, well, depending on which one you choose. The flat panels, they'll send you basically a brand new fixture, so you can pop it in and pop the other one out.
I mean, is it a plug? Is it a,
Well, everything we do is a quick connect now. We take it from the old ballast and the old fixture, and we just put a real quick connect in, so they just disconnect it, drop it down, put a new one in, and then reconnect it.
with like someone like Barrow County in the 3 years that they've had? I mean, how many have they had to fail? Would you have that? Is that something we need to ask them?
Yeah.
Have Pat call their maintenance guy?
Yeah, you could, because I think from the main lights that we put in, they would usually call me if they had a failure, and they hadn't called me on that. The one we did have an issue with, but the vendor that we put in was their gym lights. And we've had 3 of their gym lights go out, replacing the 400-watt metal halides in the gym. We had 3 of those go out, but we've got them, they just sent new fixtures for them to manage. In the first year, under our warranty, we'll make sure that we manage that, and we'll do the parts and labor for the first year. Then anything that goes bad, we'll put in.
Okay.
We'll put back. But ever since then, we just sent them fixtures, and they were able to take care of it. So, and the good thing is you don't have lamps and valves anymore. Because a majority of the manufacturers, just FYI, have gotten rid of their fluorescent facilities because they're all going to LED. So we just wanted to show you this because this is what Pat wanted us to do and take a look at. And so we wanted to give you at least an idea of what it looks like from a sample perspective. So I recommend that you go take a look, because really, you know, you will see an improved lighting as your teachers really like them.
Definitely.
Everywhere we've been, we're on our 3rd phase of Cobb. We're putting them into Gainesville City right now. We're finishing up, and they love it, and especially the control part. And that's what we found out we needed. Barrow was our first one 3 or 4 years ago, actually now 4. We didn't think of the dimmer situation. We just thought, hey, you could just use your dual switching or how they did it. But they would have liked
Is that a wall-mounted control or is that a remote? Because
Wall.
Okay.
it's wall
A
mounted.
remote would get lost.
Yeah. This is gonna sound really strange, but full honesty, it's actually can be a remote, but we actually put it in the wall. Okay, so it really can be a remote, but we've already had that situation. We let one have it and they already lost it, so we gotta give them a new remote. So we put them all in the wall now, so it's just like a regular system.
How do you dispose of the LED lights when they go bad?
Those don't have any harsh chemicals, so they can just be thrown away in your regular trash.
I can go to regular?
Yes. Your fluorescents and your electronic balance can.
Right.
So, yeah, the next steps is really, if you do want to move forward with this, because we're at a preliminary audit stage, is what we did. We did some sample installs for you to take a look at. Your next step is, if you want to move further, is to actually make it competitive, to select people like us, to come in and do the final audit and presentation and everything else. And we'll do the final engineering, get the final numbers for you to approve. So there is that competitive process that we have to go through.
So we,
Yeah, so you listed on the website and everything
right,
else.
everything over 100,000 now.
Yeah. So,
But you were with George Power, correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So, any other questions?
So you recommend the one that's at the elementary school, is that correct?
I've not seen either
That
one.
is correct, yes, ma'am.
When we look at them, you're saying that the one at the elementary school, the LED door retrofit kits are the better ones?
It's all a matter of preference. I can't say one's better than the other.
You said it earlier, I wrote it down.
Savings are better.
The savings are better.
Yeah,
The
that's what I'm
savings are better. Yes, and the cost is less.
Well, you
It's-
said it, I wrote it down, so that's
Okay.
why I'm asking.
I'm just.
You said the panels, the flat ones use more electricity
They
and
use
less
more
savings.
electricity,
So
less
that
So,
savings.
so it is a cosmetic, I mean, it's a cosmetic issue as well as just the different lighting too.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that Pat really want to focus on is to eliminate the opportunity to put stuff in the fixture. You know, you could stick a bottle or spider webs or a pencil, whatever, in that fixture, or the door kit really, but the flat panel is completely sealed off. There's no way to put anything in there so it'll look good from now on, and no hazardous items can be stuck up there.
bugs.
Or bugs,
Get in
yeah.
that lens. And even though the door kit, it is pretty well sealed, we had one just at Jefferson, we couldn't, I'm like, bugs got in there somehow, you know, within that lens. So the other one wouldn't have. So that's the other thing that happens.
Right.
So.
Any other questions? All right, well, we appreciate both of you coming and presenting for us.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, are we looking at
And that's the thing, we can definitely talk about it more. I think at some point over the next month, you want to set it up to where we can visit and see both of those
Sure.
rooms.
Sure.
That way we get a visual.
And at this time of year, it's really easy because there's no students to be disrupted, so we could walk in there and show you both in a matter of 10 minutes. It's really simple, but from what I have seen and what the teachers have expressed to me is it is a very, very positive thing for them. It's a reduction in energy, so I would recommend that we go to the next step to look for a contractor and get that process rolling. But I would like the board to look at those first so that you have an idea of what we're talking about.
Mr. Chair, I just have, maybe I'm missing something, but I thought we just went through our budget process, and I thought that our budget was tight. I'm looking at the cost of this. So and I know Mr. Lars is inundated, we all are excited when new toys come out. I want a brand new Maserati, but I might not get it this year. But that's to say that we don't always get what we want. So my thing is, you're saying in a month or so, look at the budget. We know that going through the budget the last month, and Kay, I'm thinking because I don't want to misquote what I'm saying, so you correct me if I'm wrong, but our fund balance amount is lower than it's ever been that I've known of, and it's under $1 million. I think it's 600 and something thousand in that fund balance account. And you want to take on this project when we're at a point where our funds are not where we need them to be. Maybe they will be in 2021. But I just don't see how financially we're going to do this with all the other changes that, and God knows our school is, what, over 10 years now? And everything that could tear up, Dr. Gilby has tear up. You know, it was the air conditioners, it was this, it was that, it was the walls, it was the, name the kind of floor that is again. Terrazzo flooring that is expensive, it's hard to
Ms. Freeman,
replace. So I'm just saying is, we budget, we do a budget for a reason. And so we've had so many things that pop up that's not in the budget but has to be dealt with because it's the safety of our children. I'm like the next guy, I like to save every penny I can. That's why I clip coupons sometimes, but not as much now since the babies are gone. But, you know, I like to save money too. But I'm saying in the midst of saving money, I'm looking at the bottom line costs, and I think it said 9 years for our system. In their proposal, it said we should be finished paying for it in 9 years for what they presented tonight.
He also
Yes.
stated
And
that
would you look at the cost? Can somebody pull up the cost of it for our system real quick?
It's up
It- It's
It's up
right there, yeah.
All right, can you read it? I don't have my glasses on.
Well,
Oh, here they are.
it's a, and like I
So
said,
the
it's not
cost-
a, with, Ms. Raymond, this was a, they're just presenting this option.
I'm not going on what they said, I'm going on what our superintendent said, Mr. Chair. I'm basing my scenario, my concern, based on the superintendent said that he would like for us to see it, and he would like something done in the next month or two. So that's why I'm basing my
He
questions
said he'd like for us to
on-
see it in the next month or two.
Right, but he said he
Before
would
we would-
also
before
like
we
to see something, you
go
know,
with
move
any of it.
on to the next point. So that's why I'm asking the questions that I'm asking, because wish lists are good, but I just don't understand how this wish list could be fulfilled once the budget has already been approved.
Well, anything gets amended, but as you
I
see on,
understand that.
as
Y'all
you see
love
on
amendments,
this,
but I'm talking about where y'all gonna get the money
Ms.
from?
Freeman,
Where are we,
it's,
where
that's
are
it.
we
We will,
going to get the money from?
nothing will be done without
And-
this board voting on any of it. I mean, this is just, it's being presented to us
Right,
so that
and-
we can have knowledge of it, we can start thinking about it, we can look at it. And as you say, if it's a thing that we as a board decide that we're not at the point now to do it, then we won't.
It's not even a question of that. My question was very specific, and I thought well said, but I could be wrong.
But you do see that what the annual cost will be based, I mean, and this is, you know, looking at the numbers that are put together. I mean, if everything goes per the plan, if everything lasts, if we see the savings that come about, it will cost our system $6,000 a year. That's the difference.
That's it, yeah, if everything works according to plan, which we know that everything doesn't work. We plan, but it doesn't always work the way we plan. Homeowners know that. I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm not saying that I wouldn't support it, I'm not saying I would support it. But I'm asking, is this according to the superintendent's statement was something that he saw being done in 1920 fiscal year? That was where I was, but Mr. Chair, I'm finished.
As you said, it's been presented to us. I still will encourage all of you to try to get by and see those rooms if you're in town, and you can get with the superintendent to get you into those. And so you can see, and if we decide to move forward, then you'll have knowledge of what we need to do for the next steps. Okay, next on the agenda is food service, food, paper, and chemical bids.
as we explained last month, on a 5-year rotation, we do school nutrition bids. This year is the 5-year rotation, and we bid bread, milk, chemicals, paper goods, food, and produce. The bread, milk, and produce is set by the state. So Durst is bread, Pet Dairy is milk, and Holland Produce is who we fall back on as a default because we're so far away, that's who we end up with produce. Now, from there, we took all of the bids that we received on May 28th, And all of those bids were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different companies had submitted a bid. 2 of those companies submitted no bid. That takes you down to 8. One of the companies was from Evanston, Illinois, submitted only 3 items. It was Alfredo sauce and 2 gravies. They didn't win those. I'm sorry, they did. I'm being honest. One of them was from Monterey, New York, one of them from Tampa, Florida, and one of them from Douglas, Georgia, 2 from Atlanta. So that gives you an idea that this mass output of bids is actually working, which is a good thing. As we go through all of these bids, you will see that the vendors that were selected for bids were Williams Foods, that we have dealt with for years and does a super job for us. We've been exposed to Sample Foods, which was actually found at a food show. Sample Foods is the name of the company, and they bid higher end meats for the most part, and they won a few bid items. And Southeast Paper won some bid items, which is a company out of Atlanta. And Haskins, who we've dealt with for years, won a lot of bid items as well. So we are recommending that the board accept Durst Pet Dairy, Haskins Company, Southeastern Paper, Holland Produce, Williams Institutional Foods, and Sample Foods as the bid winners for the 2019-20 school year. 2019-20 school year for the food service bids.
As you see down at the bottom, if you want to look at all the pages that are part of this bid, Dr. Light has copies of them.
Sorry, put some on this side for you guys to share, and some on that side underneath Miss Barksdale's. The yellow was the winning bid. The others are the non-winning bid, obviously.
I'm glad I said that today.
And we literally went through these one by one by one.
So Samples is the only new vendor, correct? Is that-
Samples is new to us that we haven't used in the past, that's correct. And Southeast Paper, I believe, is new to us. So those 2 are new vendors for us. Yeah, they're a little monotonous to sit and look at, but we had to do it right to justify it for all those companies, so we did, went through line by line. One of the confusing pieces as you're comparing these things is one company will give you a cost of 2 gallons of X, and the other company will give you a cost of 4 gallons per X. And you gotta break it down by ounce and bring it out of what the ounce costs. So when you first glance, it looks like it's wrong, and then when you start breaking it down, you understand the difference. It was quite involved.
Any questions? All right. And we need a motion to accept the vendors, approve the vendors that are listed up on the screen up there. Those are the ones for this coming year.
Make a motion with accept.
We have a motion by Mr. Madison. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Ms. Barksdale. Any discussion, other discussion on it? Any questions on the different bids? Okay, but no questions. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all.
And those were you able to maintain for how many years?
If everybody is in agreement, in other words, the company gives you a bid, you can continue those for the next 5 years, and then by law, you have to bid it back out. However, if somebody comes in and says, we're not willing to sell it to you for that, then you may have to rebid that item again next year if necessary.
Okay. Okay, next is policies for review.
We have one policy that's listed in two spots, GAEB and JCAC are both sexual harassment policy. It gives you the definition of that policy. It also gives you the process and procedure and who is responsible for investigating the policy and what those requirements are. And that policy should remain in place and just in review, and there's no reason to change anything in that policy.
Any questions on that policy? If not, we'll go to superintendent's reports.
Okay, the first thing on the superintendent's report is the school cafeteria health inspections took place on 5/17 of 2019. Again, I want to congratulate our food service workers. Both kitchens got 100%. And as you go to a restaurant or as you go somewhere and start paying attention to the number of places that get a score, it's amazing how many don't get 100%. So again, congratulations to our food service workers and our food nutrition folks. They do a great job and we sure appreciate it. I've got one more item that I received today, although it was sent earlier than that. Someone got an award. Miss Kay got an award, and that award comes in a certificate, which we have not received yet. But the certificate says Lincoln County Schools was awarded the award of distinction for excellent financial reporting by the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts on June 3rd, 2019. This award was established to recognize excellence in financial reporting and controls. It encourages governmental organizations to go beyond the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles, which is GAAP in the accounting world, and recognizes individual organizations that are successful in achieving this goal. And this award started back in 2014, and Ms. Kay and her group has received this award for 2019. So congratulations. That is all I have for my report, and it's great to have that type of confidence coming from the state in our accounting program.
Yes.
Yeah, I said that one first.
Okay, motion to go to executive? Motion? Second. Ms. Barksdale. Yes. I want to call our meeting back to order. It has been recommended, and I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Mr. Sean Davis, effective now, at the end of this previous school year. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm just not gonna vote on that.
Okay. 3-0, 1 abstaining. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Charles McDonald as the middle school counselor for next year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous? It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Will Homsky as social studies teacher next school year. High school social studies teacher. We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Opposed? 3-1. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Tiffany Harding as a parapro in the middle school next year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? 4-0. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Johnny Cobb, Robert Elam, and William Bruce Hayslip as substitute bus drivers upon their meeting requirements for the next school year. I have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Cheryl Miller as substitute food service worker for next school year. Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, I make a motion that we hire Amy Tokar as parapro for the elementary school in the next school year. A second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Deborah Santmeyer as parapro for the elementary school for the next school year. A second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. It is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Claude Turner as a custodian at the elementary school for next school year. Second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. Any further business? Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all.